Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of Dan Plays. Today we're going to go through the basics, or I guess even more advanced uses of chariots in Total War Warhammer 2. So whether you're trying to be Cirtha Ek and being a god, if you're trying to rule like Cetra, or if you're just trying to be Cirtha Belkek, somewhere in the middle, this is the guide you're going to want. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to move both of our units of chariots over here to the left flank. So our line of spearmen is just going to stand there. We're not even going to touch them during the battle. With the exception of maybe that one unit at the back. We might use them to help blob up units if the rest of our units break. So the enemy units aren't going to have any anti-large here. This is just to show you how to properly rip through the infantry you should be ripping through while you're in a chariot. So the first thing we're going to do is bring these two units up here. So our Ithmar chariots are melee only. Our Chariot chariots have a little bit of range poke, but they are not a ranged unit. Our goal, no matter what, is going to be charging either from the back or from the front in isolated units and just running straight through them. So we're going to try and get them to split by splitting our units of chariots. We've already got 4 units coming over to chase, and we're going to pull our Ithmar chariots back out. Alright, now we've got them kind of in a kill zone in the middle of both chariots. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. Let's get the 6 unit flagellants by charging right through them, kind of being kited around. Now in a traditional army setup, we'd have some range units that we can now focus fire on some of their units, especially the elites. But as we just have a line there for our chariots, you can ignore that for now. One of the most important things with the chariots is to keep them moving. Never let them set. If they get bogged down by infantry, even your strongest of chariots will go down pretty quickly. They have good stats, they have a lot of health, and they're tanky, but their melee defense stats are typically low. Our Ithmar chariots are up there in the higher tiers, which is why they're able to do this right now, which is pulling through 2 straight units at the same time, and coming out cleanly on the other side. These poor spearmen are just standing there waiting. We're going to get a rear charge on these flagellants. Doesn't matter if it's rear or front most of the time, as long as you can pull your chariots through. So repeatedly clicking seems to get them to ignore the units that are trying to bog them down. Sometimes all it takes is one unit to land a melee attack for a chariot to stop and turn. You want to make sure you're clicking through to make sure you can come out the other side. Now that's after the initial charge, but if you see them stop moving during the charge, you know they're in trouble. Just start trying to click them to pull them out, or click with them away from them to pull them out. Always try and click in the direction that your chariots are facing. It makes disengages a lot cleaner. Even if it's through your own men, you're not going to hurt them, but at the same time, they might get slowed down by a little. Here we go again with another clean charge straight through those swordsmen. They don't seem to know when to give up, so we are just going to do that again after putting a little bit of space between them. Oh, there we go. This is going to be a rear charge. So chariots do seem to charge better when units are grouped. It's the high mass unit has kind of like a monstrous unit. Here we're going to try and skim the outside with our Chariot chariots. So the idea with skimming the outside is as your chariots start to make contact, you turn the direction they're going to make them go either charge another unit down the line in front of them, or pull them out and just have them repeatedly charge kind of at an angle. So that'll make them pick off the units on the outside of the formations. We have some pretty good blobs over here. Our Ithmar chariots are pretty tanky for a chariot, so we're going to try and get in the back of here and come out the other side. Oh, nope. There we go. So your own units will slow them down, but they won't keep them from taking too much. They will keep them from taking too much damage because the other units are already being attacked there. Alright, so as you can see, our lines are getting overwhelmed, and the only thing we really have going for us are the rear charges from these chariots. Here's another semi-skim. See if we can pull back out. The swordsmen are routing, so they won't engage us. That was some fortuitous timing, though, I'm not gonna lie.
Move! Chariot chariots! Setting forth!
So like I said, the Tyrannok has a ranged shot, but they're going to fire that automatically as you go. So don't treat them like a ranged unit at all. Those are more of a melee powerhouse.
It shall be done.
Or a cycle charging powerhouse. You don't really want them in a melee.
Chariots.
Or a prolonged melee, I should say.
Swiftly. We go. Asa, forward. For duty.
Here we go, pulling our units out through the other side again.
Swiftly. Without fail. Moving out.
Now you can charge them through your own units as well, but they will lose speed, which will slow down their charge attack.
Chariots. For order. Chariots.
Like here.
For the king.
So as you can see, they got a little bit more bogged down than we would have liked.
Defending order.
We're going to have them charge again through their units over here. And that cleared a hole, so we're going to be able to pull our chariots straight through it.
Assyrian guides us. Advance. For Ulthuan, we advance.
So as you can see just from the health levels of our chariots, the slightly better armor and better melee defense stat is really adding up when it comes to how tanky these units are. So our Ithamar chariots are doing much better, has nearly full HP, whereas our Tyrannok chariots are starting to, they haven't lost any units yet, but they are losing a lot of health.
It shall be done. Moving out.
So at this point we're going to use that Tyrannok chariot group to hit some of their thinner formations, and we don't want them to get bogged down at all. So even a low health 4 unit Tyrannok chariot is going to do full damage. But once we start losing models, we're going to lose some of that damage output.
Acknowledged.
There we go, another rear charge. But their charge bonus is less too, which will impact how deep they get in the lines, just like the mass stat will.
Asa, forward. Tyrannok chariots. Asa, move.
So our cycle charging has caused some routes over here where the lines are thinnest. Also where Tyrion is, so that's no surprise. So you can use chariots to run down enemy fleeing units, but they're not going to be as effective as light cavalry. And the big reason there is just the unit count. So if you're playing as the Tomb Kings and you have those larger groups of chariots, those might be a lot more helpful for running down fleeing units. However, when it comes to small unit groups like Chaos, Beastmen, High Elves, you're really not going to get much of a payoff facing this fleeing unit. There is a low health chariot, or say I was down to 1 unit in them, I'd probably have one of them chase just to keep them from regrouping and not losing the unit. Alright, there's a good rear charge there. Two of my chariots went deeper in than I wanted them to, but they're coming right back out.
Tyrannok chariots, battle claws. As you say.
As they're resetting from the last charge, we're going to get really deep penetration on that one. So if you charge 1 unit of chariots followed by another, you're going to get even deeper penetration. That works for monsters as well.
Assyrian guides us. As long as we draw breath, move. Will die. Quickly now. Quickly now. Can I be praised? For Assyrian. Tyrannok chariots. Pull back.
Alright, a few more cycle charges and that could wrap it.
Advance. It will be done. Asa, move. Apace.
The chariots do become fatigued over the course of the fight.
To battle.
They're going to be just as exhausted as everyone else out here. They are going to take the stat hits from that. That being said, everyone else is exhausted by this time of the fight, so I'm not worried about it. But you could hold the chariots in reserve until everyone's starting to get tired, and then have very impactful charges. However, as they do damage only on the move, it's kind of a waste, so I prefer to keep them moving the entire time. Alright, one more charge to do it.
Acknowledged! For the Ever Queen!
All right. Well, that's my tutorial on how to use chariots effectively. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button in the description in my bio.
We advance!
Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll have more content out later this week. Thanks, guys.